Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be taking a first look here at this wildcard round NFL 6-game playoff slate. Let's dive right into it. And like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to go position by position, highlighting the plays that are sticking out to me here early in the week, and then we'll wrap up this video by putting together a first look tournament lineup. Not going to break down the cash side of things here for these playoffs, these condensed slates. I tend to focus more on the tournament side of things as a player myself. I am, however, happy to give some considerations or suggestions on the cash side of things in my Discord channel. That's completely free to join if you want to do that. There's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. But this will be tournament focused, and my video later this week will be my favorite plays for the tournament side of things. But with that being said, before we dive into the quarterbacks here, everyone, if you have not seen this yet, DraftKings is basically breaking down this wildcard round into 5 different slates here. So we have this 2-game slate on Saturday, the 3-game featured slate on Sunday. We have a Saturday-Sunday slate here with 4 games, and then the Saturday slate that expands from Saturday to Monday, or the showdown on Monday, which is going to host the Vikings and Rams. Now, I really wish that DraftKings would have made this 6-game slate here the featured slate, but just like last year, it's going to be this Sunday slate here with 3 games, so this is probably where we're going to find the best contest, and again, if you want to play the Millie Maker, that's where you'll find that there. But overall, for today's first look, we're going to break down all 6 games. With that being said, let's dive into the quarterbacks here. And honestly, everyone, there's probably a case to be made to roster any one of these 12 starting quarterbacks for the wild card round. I mean, these teams and quarterbacks are in the playoffs for a reason. But for the first look here, I've broken it down to 4 quarterbacks that I would want to build my lineups around. Starting with Josh Allen here at the top. I know this Denver defense is legit, but the upside that Josh Allen offers is truly greater than probably any other quarterback. At least that was the case this year, and we saw it just back in week 14 and week 15 where he scored 54 and 44 DraftKings points. Let me move my head out of the way. Again, a much tougher defense here than Detroit and LA playing the Broncos, but at $8,200 there, that's a guy who can go for 35 plus DraftKings points and break the slate. Now, that's not to say that Lamar, Jaden Daniels, and Jalen Hurts couldn't do that, give you 35 plus DraftKings points. I just think that Josh Allen has the best chance of doing that along here with Jaden Daniels. I really like him as well in this matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a secondary that we've kind of picked on all year long. Now, I know Jaden left here in week 18, but you can see that head coach Dan Quinn, he's not concerned, probably precautionary, no reason he needed to play in week 18. They were just trying to get that 6th seed. So I like this spot here for Jaden Daniels, played some really good football heading into the playoffs. You can see there with 28, 23, 36, and 35 DraftKings points and 4 of his last 5 games. Now, this game here between Minnesota and LA definitely has some shootout potential. We could stack up either side. I lean towards the Minnesota side due to their pass catchers, though. I know Sammy Darnold was not great in this game against Detroit on Sunday night, but I'm willing to overlook that. 35 touchdowns on the season, and again, some easy stacking pieces with Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, or even a cheaper route with Jalen Naylor, which could pay off on a smaller slate like this. And then I like Justin Herbert here as well. Now, I know that Houston secondary has played some really good ball here to close out the season, but I really like the way that Ladd McConkey's come on. We saw Quentin Johnston get 14 targets last week, and he caught 13 of them. This Texans team is not very good against tight ends, so we could play Will Dissly. And I just like the price here for Herbert at $6,000 for a guy who offers 30-plus DraftKings point upside. So again, 12 quarterbacks on this slate here. There's probably a case to be made to roster any one of them, but those were the 4 quarterbacks that stuck out to me initially. Now, moving on to the running backs here, and for the most part, I foresee myself spending up at this position. There's a lot more value at the wide receiver and tight end position, in my opinion. Now, we do have guys on this slate like Rachaad White, Javonte Williams, Jaylen Warren, and Brian Robinson, who are all in the 5K range at the running back position, but I really don't have a lot of interest in that. I do, however, think that Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins, and James Cook are offering some nice value here in the 6K range. But for the most part, 7K and above is my preferred plays here. If I have to pick between Saquon and Derrick Henry, I'm going to go with Saquon there. Now, we do need to keep an eye on Jalen Hurts. He's still in the concussion protocol. If he does not play, that probably changes my opinion here. But let's just assume that Jalen's going to play here for the playoffs against the Packers. This rushing defense for the Packers has not been great. And Saquon, he offers that, again, 30, 40 plus DraftKings point upside. We've seen that all season long. Now, I don't mind Derrick Henry here, and he actually played well against Pittsburgh back in Week 16, 162 rushing yards, did not find the end zone and scored 24 DraftKings points. So again, I have no problem with him, but if I have to pick between Henry and Saquon, I'm going to go with Saquon. I also like Kyron Williams here in this matchup against Minnesota. I know that Vikings defense, notoriously good against the run this year, but over the last 5 weeks, they have slipped up just a little bit. We saw that with Jahmyr Gibbs on Sunday night. I also like Joe Mixon here in this matchup against the Chargers. Chargers secondary has been pretty stout all year long, but again, this rushing defense has not been great for them over the last 5 weeks heading into the playoffs. I know Mixon kind of cooled down here over the last 3 weeks, but I like what I saw on that first drive against Tennessee, averaging 4.5 rushing yards per attempt, and did get involved in the passing game. So $7,200, I think he's going to be in play. And then one of my favorite plays here at the running back position this week is going to be Bucky Irving. This guy has truly come on here over the last handful of weeks, really going back to about week 10. You can see there's 17, 27, 30 plus DraftKings points. When he's touching the ball, he's making plays, and I don't mind that matchup at all against the Washington Commanders. So again, prefer to spend up at the running back position here this week. There's a little value in the 6K range, but for the most part, I think there's better value at the wide receiver and tight end positions. Next, we got the wide receivers here, and as you all know, I kind of break down the elite wide receiver plays into 2 different tiers. So tier 1, in my opinion, this week is going to be Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, and Justin Jefferson. Flip a coin. I truly believe that the upside and opportunity with these 4 are all going to be very similar here in the wild card round. Now, tier 2, in my opinion, is going to be McLaurin, Sutton, McConkey, and Brown. And I do have preferred plays between those 4. If I had to pick, I'd go with Ladd McConkey here. He has truly been great as a rookie wide receiver and just getting better as the season goes on. Almost 1,200 yards, 82 receptions, 7 touchdowns, averaging close to 16 DraftKings points per game. And the chemistry with him and Justin Herbert just got better with each and every game. And then I really like Terry McLaurin here as well. We talked about it earlier. That secondary for the Bucs is one that we've kind of picked on this season, and I would be surprised if McLaurin doesn't see close to 10 targets in this game as the number 1 wide receiver for the Commanders. So for tier 1 and tier 2, like I said, for tier 1, just flip a coin between those 4. I do believe they're all going to get similar opportunity and offer similar upside, but for tier 2 here, if I had to pick some of these guys, I'd go with McConkey and McLaurin, but Sutton and Brown, both solid plays in my opinion. And then we kind of scroll down here between Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp. I kind of think this is the next tier of wide receiver plays here, and there's a handful that we can make a case for. My preferred plays in this range here are going to be George Pickens, Jordan Addison, Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir, and Jalen McMillan. Actually, I don't mind Rashad Bateman here as well, assuming that Zay Flowers does not play. It sounds like he avoided anything that's going to be season ending, but we haven't really got an official word on whether he's going to play or not. Why would you? It's Tuesday morning as I record this. No reason for the Baltimore Ravens to come out and say, yeah, he's playing for sure here on Tuesday. But let's keep an eye on that. If he does not play, I think Rashad Bateman would be a really solid play here as well. You can see the targets aren't super consistent, but if Zay is going to miss, he probably sees close to 8 targets in that game. And then if we're looking for some cheaper wide receiver plays here, as I mentioned earlier, Quentin Johnston saw 14 targets in Week 18, caught 13 of them, 186 receiving yards, did not score a touchdown, and still put up close to 35 DraftKings points. Really like to see that. Hopefully he has some confidence going into this game against Houston. I also don't mind Zacchaeus here. He's kind of come on as wide receiver number 2 for this Washington Commanders team. You can see there, he's seen 8+ targets in 2 of his last 5 games and 3+ in all 5 of those games. So if we're looking for a cheaper wide receiver, I don't mind that. Again, more on the tournament side of things here. And then Jalen Naylor, kind of name dropped him earlier too. He's got that boom bust appeal, but he is super fast and can score a touchdown from anywhere on the field. So for $3,600, kind of a pump play in tournaments, I definitely don't mind that. And then when it comes to the tight ends this week, there were actually more sticking out to me than I anticipated, which I'm okay with, especially considering all of them are pretty affordable. Starting at the top here with Mark Andrews, this is a good spot here against the Steelers. The Steelers have not been great against tight ends this year. You can see back in week 16, he had 6 targets, 4 catches, scored a touchdown, 14 DraftKings points. Probably need a little more out of him at that price of $4,700, but played some really good football heading into the playoffs, and he's going to be someone that Lamar leans on in this game. I like Zach Ertz here in this matchup against Tampa Bay. He's older for sure. He doesn't have that boom appeal where he's going to score from anywhere on the field, but he's kind of a safety valve for Jaden Daniels as well, and you can see he offers some nice DraftKings point upside there. Scrolling down a little bit off of him, as a matter of fact, I like TJ Hawkinson here at $4,200. Another very affordable guy who could go for 20 plus DraftKings points. Dallas Goedert here against Green Bay. Don't mind that at all. Again, I'll like it a lot more assuming that Jalen Hurts plays, but either way, I think he's going to be in play here at $3,900. Will Dissly kind of name dropped him earlier. The Houston Texans are not good against tight ends. Had 6 targets back in week 18. He's a little boom bust, but offers 15 plus DraftKings point upside. And then if we really want to get sneaky on this slate, I think we can do that here with Isaiah Likely. Obviously, Andrews is clearly taken over as the #1 tight end in this offense again, but Likely's going to play, and he does offer 15 plus DraftKings point upside himself. Not bad at all for a guy priced at $3,200. And then wrapping up the positional plays here with some defenses. Honestly, it's going to come down to how you kind of roster your lineup this week. If you want to play the Bills, then obviously you don't want to roster a bunch of Denver Broncos in your lineup. So it's going to come down to that for the most part. But if I had to pick just 2 defenses here this week, I would go with the Baltimore Ravens as a spend-up option. And then a spend-down option, I'd go with the Broncos. Now, I do not love the matchup here going into Buffalo. I talked about Josh Allen earlier, but this defense has some playmakers, and while some of these matchups were pretty easy against Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Kansas City's backups last week, this defense offers some nice upside too. 20, 22, and 15 DraftKings points in 3 of their last 5 games. Alright everyone, now my favorite part of the video, putting together a first look tournament lineup here. But before we do this, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Every like, comment, and sub that you guys leave truly does help me out, and it's completely free to do. Also, I mentioned this earlier, if you want to join my Discord channel, that's completely free as well. Over 860 people in there, talking multiple sports for DFS, but primarily NFL and NHL. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. With that being said, let's build this first look tournament lineup here. What should we do here? Let's go with a little LAC stack here. So I'm going to go with Justin Herbert, and we're going to do 3 stacks here. So we're going to go with McConkey, Quentin Johnston, and Will Dissly. That opens up so much money for us right off the bat. And let's run it back in this game here with Joe Mixon. And I want to spend up at the running back position for the most part. Let's go in Bucky Irving, and let's do a little mini game stack between them and the Commanders. So we'll add in McLaurin. And for a defense here, let's actually spend up for the Ravens, see what that gives us. 4,600 left over. So for the wide receivers, I can't say I love the options there, and I probably don't want to spend down for Jalen Naylor and have $1,000 on the table. So let's go to the tight end position here, make our lineup a little more unique, and put in a TJ Hawkinson. So for a first look tournament lineup, I don't mind that at all. It's a triple stack there with LAC, running it back with Mixon, a little game stack between Tampa Bay and Washington with McLaurin and Irving. Hawkinson as a one-off, another tight end there in the lineup, and then the Ravens, the best defense on this slate, in my opinion. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that.